Hey guys, another video for our How to Do Stuff in Japan playlist. As always, we'll just start by clarifying that these are generalizations based on what we've observed and what other people have observed and shared with us. And they're not always the case, of course, but they are generally true. So if you come to Japan or if you're in Japan, you're likely to experience these things. So this topic is a bit delicate. We've sort of touched on it in other previous videos. The Sex in Japan video, picking up Japanese girls video, just a few different videos over the years that we've sort of touched on this topic, but haven't really addressed it directly. And after a discussion recently with a couple other people, we came to the conclusion that it really needs to be discussed very directly and very clearly. And one of the reasons we've sort of avoided making a video on it in the past is it is a delicate topic. So to talk about a delicate topic very directly is a bit difficult, trying not to offend anybody or making anyone feel uncomfortable, but it sort of has to be done. Basis of it is, the basic center of it is that the signals that Japanese ladies give out are often misinterpreted by people from outside or from cultures other than the Japanese culture. So the title of the video was Trick Teasers. Now, one of our friends, couple of people actually, refer to Trick Teasers, and actually their pronunciation is a little bit different. The word is slightly different, but we don't want to use the word that they use because it's a bit offensive to some people. So let's just say Trick Teasers. And his way of reminding himself of the situation with this mistaken signal understanding thing is to call Japanese ladies trick teasers. Now, that's a bit harsh. So, and particularly seeing as he's using a slightly different word, it's really harsh. But that's his way of reminding himself of the situation. Probably more reasonable to call the situation a trick tease situation, or a similar to trick tease situation, because it's really not the ladies themselves who are doing the teasing, it's the situation. So a bit difficult to explain. It's actually caused by a whole heap of things. One of them is that Japanese people are usually very friendly when you talk to them, and very attentive, and use a lot of compliments, as we've mentioned in previous videos. So the impression that foreign guys can often get, and you'll read this on the internet, you'll see this on the internet: I went to Tokyo for 2 weeks and all the Japanese ladies loved me, right? You know, all the Japanese ladies wanted me. You know, you see these comments on the internet all the time, and if you spend some time in Japan, you'll understand why they're making those comments. Is because that's the feeling you often get. You know, when you first come to Japan, you can't believe the attention that you get. You know, all of a sudden you've got all these ladies and girls talking to you. Whoa, you know, more so probably than in your own country. There's a number of reasons for it. One of the reasons is just because you're foreign. There's 127 million people in Japan, and only 1 million of them are foreigners. So just the fact that you're a foreigner makes you a little bit interesting, because, you know, a lot of people here haven't talked to foreigners much, and, you know, usually we're in the minority, so getting to talk to a foreigner is a bit of a novelty. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, if the person happens to be into English, if they happen to be into learning English and practicing English, then it's an opportunity for them to do that. And then other than that, they're just friendly. If you watch Japanese ladies interacting with Japanese men, or other Japanese ladies, and watch the way they react, the way they behave, they're just very, very friendly, and not as sort of perhaps as reserved, or not reserved, but as controlled or held back as what they might be in some other countries. So, gonna have to be a little bit tacky in this video. It's just inevitable. In some countries, it might be, you might consider that it's very easy to understand the intention and the thinking of the other person, because they make it very clear to you. So if you're a guy, and this mainly applies to guys relating to girls, because the foreign girls dealing with Japanese guys is a totally different topic. We might deal with that in another video, but But if you're a guy and in your country, there's a good chance that you will know if a girl's interested in you or not. In some countries, they're more clear than in others, you know. So an example of that might be, excuse me, do you mind if I sit here? Oh, no, sorry, that seat's taken, you know. Or someone might even be more abrupt than that. Excuse me, do you mind if I sit here? No, go away. Right? Or if they say, no, please sit down, and then they're all friendly, then you might be getting the idea that perhaps that person's sort of interested in you, and you can usually tell the physical body language, the words that are used, the eye contact, the whole thing. We're used to that in our own country, aren't we? From when we're young, you get used to knowing who's sort of interested in you and who's not. And it's sort of easy to work that out, isn't it? Oh no, this person's not into me at all, or this person is, or whatever. Then you come to Japan, and if it's just natural that subconsciously we have our own subconscious way of picking up on these things. And so when we talk to when a foreign guy talks to a Japanese girl, often you'll see all these signals that at home mean that person's interested in you. You know, she's sort of smiling a lot and curling her hair, telling you how cool you are. Now, we've talked about this on previous videos, that it's perfectly normal in Japanese society, in Japanese culture, to tell girls that they're cute, and for girls to tell guys that they're cool. It's just what people do, you know. And quite often, you know, they'll be telling you, oh, you're cool and you're interesting and you're wonderful, and oh, you're from France. Oh, I love France, and they'll tell you all the nice things that are wonderful to hear, and it can totally give you the impression that they're really, really into you, you know. And what triggered this video is that we frequently get emails and private messages through YouTube from people with sad stories, guys with sad stories that, you know, I met this Japanese girl and it was going really well, and then suddenly she just stopped emailing me. Why do you think that'd be? Or, you know, I met this Japanese girl and I had a girlfriend. You hear these sad stories, these guys say, oh, we had a long distance relationship and then suddenly she just stopped emailing me, and, you know, all these sad stories. And quite often what's happening is that the guy has misinterpreted the Japanese girl's behavior, and then he takes some step forward, right? So, you know, maybe he decides he's going to try and hold her hand, or he's going to try and kiss her, or he says something to her. And we've heard all these, we've seen all these examples of guys doing all these things, you know, thinking that, oh, she's into me, so he tries to hold her hand, or he tries to kiss her, or he says something to her, you know, a bit romantic or something. And the Japanese girl, if you look at it from her point of view, she wasn't being romantic and she wasn't into him, and she thought she was just being nice and they were just being friends, and then all of a sudden he's tried to kiss her. Whoa, you know? So her way to deal with that, and because the Japanese people usually aren't terribly direct with saying what they're thinking or feeling, so quite often if you've done something to make a Japanese person feel uncomfortable, usually their way to respond to that is just not to contact you anymore. They just won't email you anymore, and if you send them an email, they just won't answer, and that's just their way to do it, because they don't want confrontation or any sort of drama or any sort of discomfort, so they go whoop, and they just won't answer anymore. And again, just this isn't always the case. This isn't always the case, but it often is. It often is. I've experienced this outside Japan. Before I came to Japan, I had Japanese girlfriends in Australia and Japanese friends in Australia, and I had Aussie friends who had Japanese girlfriends and wives in Australia, and then came to Japan and had years in Japan as a single person, experienced all this firsthand. And if you are in Japan and you speak to foreign guys in Japan, they'll tell you these stories. They'll tell you these stories. Oh yeah, I got no idea, they say. They got no idea. You know, I got no idea. You know, you talk to these girls and they're totally into you, and all of a sudden they just get up. There's a million stories like this. So another one was mentioned in another video recently. You'll be talking to a girl and you'll be totally getting the impression that she's really into you. And even when you know this, even when you know about the trick teaser situation, even when you know that, it's a feeling thing. It's based on your programming from your old country, and you'll be sitting there thinking, yeah, this girl's really into me, you know, she's really into me, and then suddenly a guy will come walking across the room and say, hey, it's time, you know, we got to go. And she'll go, oh, okay. Oh, look, you know, Yoshi, this is Bob from America. Bob, this is my husband, Yoshi. Right? Or my boyfriend or whatever. And then they'll just walk out. They'll see you later. Nice to meet you. You know, and Yoshi will go, oh, hello, Bob. And they'll go, righto, see you later. And they'll walk out the door and leave you sitting there going, what the? You know, that not unusual, quite common situation. I've experienced it. I've spoken to other guys that have experienced it as well. You know, girls that are quite happy in their relationships, they're not interested in getting a boyfriend or husband or anything. They're quite happy in their relationship. They're not interested in fooling around with you. They're just talking to you. And from their point of view, that's the thing. They're just talking to you, you know? And even the single girls might be a single girl. She might, you know, if you've got a boyfriend, you've got a husband, no, you know? And then she's sitting there twirling her hair and flashing her eyes and telling you how cool you are and, oh, you're from France. I love guys from France, and, you know, saying all these things. You go, wow, you know, and then she'll just get up and leave and you'll never hear from her again. You know, and she might say to you, give me your email address, oh, thank you, and then get your email address, oh, that's great, and okay, and we'll talk to you soon then, and off she'll go, and you'll never hear from her again. And that happens all the time, because the asking for the email address is just a polite way to get up and leave, because she's got other places to be and other things to do, you know. And I mean, we've interviewed, on the interview playlist, we interviewed girls about this. Do you want a foreign boyfriend? You know, do you want a foreign, and asked the guys, do you want a foreign girlfriend? But we asked the girls, do you want a foreign boyfriend? And a couple of them said yes, but it was really because they wanted English practice. And then we asked if they wanted a foreign husband, and most of them said no. Actually, I think maybe all of them said no. Have a look at that video if you haven't seen it already. So the impression, oh, Japanese girls love foreign guys. The guys want to believe that. That's why that stuff, this should go, this video will go on the how-to playlist and the myths playlist. Because there's a big myth out there that Japanese girls all want foreign guys. Well, no, actually they don't. Very, very few of them do. Very, very few of them do want foreign guys, you know. Just because, and that's what's happening. You see this all the time. I was in Tokyo for 2 weeks. We've had comments like this left in our videos before when we've talked about these topics, and you'll get guys say, I was in Tokyo for 2 weeks and every girl I met wanted me, you know. They all wanted me. Yeah? Japanese girls love foreign guys. We get a comment at least once a week telling us that Japanese girls love American guys. So, and what it is because, you know, young American guys, same as young French guys, young Australian guys, young English guys come to Japan and you know, talk to a few girls and go away thinking, wow, they all want me. No, they don't, sorry. You know, I mean, of course, occasionally it happens, it does happen occasionally that one's for real, but, you know, there's another foreign guy lives in this area and told me once that he thinks that you don't know if a Japanese girl's into you or not until she takes her clothes off. And that's it's a bit tacky, isn't it? It's a bit of a tacky thing to say on a video, but it's what he said, and there's an element of truth in it. And in fact, quite often what happens is, because of the nature of relationships in Japan, quite often the girl who doesn't give you much attention is the one that's into you. And the one that gives you lots of attention is just being polite. And that's often the case, and we've talked about this before as well, if you watch couples in Japan. And that's why you don't know that girl you're talking to is there with her husband, because people in relationships in Japan tend to treat each other in a sort of a distant sort of manner, you know, not real sort of close to each other, and so quite often the girl that doesn't sort of show a lot of interest in you will suddenly, when she gets you alone, suddenly grab you by the hand or kiss you or say something that you weren't expecting. And because what's happening too is, you see, in public places, or if there's other people around, even one other person around, the Japanese people are very proper about their behaviour. This is usually the case when there's other people around. So discretion is really, really, really important. So that's why quite often the girl, if you're in a group of people, the girl who's interested in you will be pretty quiet about it usually. And then if you find yourself alone, or you might suddenly get an email from them saying something. And usually it's surprising. It's like, whoa, really? She hardly talked to me. And here's this full-on message, you know, didn't expect that. And that's often the case. Whereas the ones that are being super friendly are just being polite, and everybody else just sees that too. She's just being polite. And this is why this video is really important, because everyone else here thinks the same way. The guys are all the same. See, the guys here usually don't interpret, the Japanese guys don't misinterpret those signals. They know what it means. The girls are just being friendly. So what happens is, you rock up here in Japan, and wow, all the girls are right into me, and some girls being really friendly, and so you wait till you get a chance alone with you, and you try and kiss her or hold her hand or tell her something, and she'll go, whoa, and then she'll go and tell her friends, that American guy or that French guy, that Australian guy tried to kiss me, and they're all going to go, what? You know, and everyone, she's going to be surprised, all her friends are going to be surprised, and they're going to, yappari, moshiron, gaijin desho, and because they're going to be saying, of course, that's what you'd expect from a foreigner, because it's possibly not the first time they've heard that story about some foreigner suddenly trying to kiss a Japanese girl, or suddenly trying to put his arms around a Japanese girl, or suggesting she go back to his place or something, you know, and they'll all be spun out, and then what'll happen is you've really blown it then they'll be going, oh, well, we can't really invite him to the barbecue, can we? Because he might do something like that again, you know, or he might embarrass somebody, or he might do something he's not supposed to. And you'll have really blown it, and that's why this video is really important, is it's not going to make you look bad to that one person, to only that one person. It could well make you look really bad to a whole bunch of people. So, you know, it's potentially pretty harmful to you, you know, it can do you some harm. So it's really important, and there's a whole heap of factors involved in this as well, other things. Can't really do this video without just mentioning briefly the sex rates in Japan. So we mentioned this in a previous video, in the Sex in Japan video. A few studies have been done on this. The one we quoted in the Sex in Japan video is from the Durex condom company, because they're very interested in who's having sex and how often, of course, because that's their business. And they did a study comparing all the countries of the world who's having sex and how often and all that sort of thing. And Japan was really low in the rates. So it found that, you know, people under 20 years old in Japan are rarely, or very few people, I can't remember the percentages, but the percentages were really low. The number of people under 20 having sex was really low, and the people above 20 having sex was pretty low as well, and then how frequently they were having sex was really low as well. So this is generally the case. It's not always the case, I promise you, it's not always the case, but it often is the case. Usually it's the case. They're statistics. They're statistics. That's not an opinion, that's statistics. That proves it's the case. Those studies are done anonymously. It's not people being shy or modest. It's just the reality of it. And again, you live in Japan for a while and talk to people, you'll find, yeah, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. You know, you've got girls and guys living at home here until they get married. You know, that's another reason for this sort of thing as well, is that they're living at home with their parents until they get married. So, you know, they're not going back to each other's places and shagging, they're going home to their parents' house at the end of the night. You know, and that's the thing, is the girls will sit there, this is what they're used to. They'll sit there, they'll talk like that. The guys, Japanese guys, generally are pretty shy and quiet, not always, but quite often. And the guys will be sitting there quietly listening, oh yeah, and at the end of the night they go, all right then, see you later, and they go their separate ways and they go home. And that's usually the case here. So if you do something different, if you suddenly go, oh, come back to my hotel with me, or, you know, they're gonna go, whoa, what's with you? You know, so we have to remember when we're feeling that, wow, she's really into me thing, we have to remind ourselves that it's the trick teaser thing. It's the trick teaser thing. It's just, she's giving off innocent signals that we're misinterpreting because we've come from a different culture where those signals mean something else. That's all it is. That's all it is, and it's usually the case. I guarantee you, in 90% of the cases, that's all it is. 99% of the cases, that she's just being nice. And when you live here long term, you'll learn that. And it might take a while to learn it, because if you don't listen to this video, you know, and you do send some emails and say some things, or try and you're going to be disappointed. And then you might remember this video and go, oh, yeah, trick teasers. That's why I've used that term, because I think if you can condense a really, in this case, a 20-minute video or a fairly complex topic into just a short couple of words like that, it can really be helpful to us in these social situations, because you can remind yourself, trick teaser. not her. Again, I don't like calling the girls those things trick teasers, because it's not really them. They're sending off an innocent signal that we're misinterpreting, and that's the point. We're seen as deviant because the guys, it's not normal here. In some countries, you know, guys trying, you know, some countries around the world, guys trying like that is just normal, and the girls go, oh, get away, you know, bugger off. Whereas here, most of the guys are shy, and the guys that make the move like that are just considered to be deviants and annoying, and you know, it'll make you look really bad in this society. It really will. In a lot of societies, people just brush it off. Oh yeah, he's a healthy young man, nothing wrong with him. But it's not thought of like that here. It's not thought of like that here. It's like, oh yeah, righto, he's etchy. That's what they'll call you to each other. He's etchy. Watch out for him. He's etchy. Watch out for the French guy. Watch out for the Australian guy. He's etchy. That's what they'll say. And once you're labelled as etchy, the girls will avoid you, the guys will avoid you, everybody will avoid you because you're etchy. You won't get invited anywhere. Oh no, watch out for him. That's what'll happen. So that was the reason. This is a tricky video to make. It's a bit delicate, but the point is it had to be made, because this not understanding this can make life difficult for you, and we get these emotional emails from people all the time have been messed up by this. But not just with that, it won't just mess you up with that one girl, it can mess you up with your whole circle in Japan. It can be really bad, it can be a big problem. So you just have to, so the strategy, but in the final minute, the best strategy is just be cool. Do what the Japanese guys do, just be nice, be cool, behave like a gentleman, and just wait. You got to be patient and wait and see, and you'll soon realise that, oh no, she didn't mean anything by it. It was innocent, or it may be that she is into you. But waiting is the only solution, and just wait. It's the only solution. It really is. I mean, this video wasn't made for deviants that are going to hit on girls and hit on girls and hit on girls. It's also not talking about Roppongi or the other gaijin ghettos in Tokyo where the gaijin nightclubs are. That's all different. We always get guys that, oh, I was in Tokyo and I had a different experience. Yeah, well, gaijin bars in Roppongi where the girls go to pick up foreigners or the foreigners go to pick up girls is different. I'm talking about the rest of Japan, not the gaijin ghettos. Outside them, with normal people like this, where you're living in a community where people are going to know and you're going to have a reputation. That's what I'm talking about. And the guys that don't care, the guys that are just going to keep hitting on girls until they get one and they don't really care, well, I'm not talking to them either. This video is made for the people who want to try and live in a society here and behave themselves and not get themselves into trouble. And because the unfortunate thing is that accidentally you get into trouble with this stuff by not knowing about it. So hopefully that helped. Gotta go. Time's run out. Almost made it. So guys, that annoying towel to the left of the screen, very sorry about that. That was actually an attempt to protect the camera from the sun to help avoid it overheating, because this day in Japan was 34 degrees. So it didn't work, obviously. Right at the end there, the camera overheated and stopped. So the piece that was missing was more videos coming soon.